Welcome to Esoterica, the podcast, where we discuss the unusual, the offbeat, and the obscure. I'm Chris Schultz.
I'm Aaron Christian.
And we have, this is our last episode for the season. I know. All right. And of course, we're a podcast and we're not on, we're our own boss. Our seasons are what our seasons are. But
they're as long as we want them to be.
yeah, but we decided early on that back in the day, sitcoms at least were like 22 episodes a season. So this is episode 21 for us, not including our famous folk.
Yeah, exactly. 21 of normal episodes.
So that's a good run. Anyway, so we have another band interview today. So we have the lead singer from the band that we're going to be spotlighting coming in to talk to us. So that's pretty cool.
I'm hype.
All right, we'll get into that in a second. But let's start off with our inadvertent tradition of sampling a
Esoteric beverage. Difficult soda.
Difficult. Yeah, that was Andy, right? So beer, let's face it, is difficult soda.
It is. It's difficult to classify it as such, correct?
This is a limited release from Sam Adams Porch Rocker, a refreshing and tangy rattler. Aaron, I'm going to ask you while I open these to Google what a rattler is. I can read you from the back label. This beer was inspired by German cyclists who mixed beer with lemon lime flavors after a tough ride. In Porch Rocker, we've brewed a Golden Hills lager combined with smooth, effervescent lemon lime taste that'll kick the heat out of any summer day.
Well, rattler is coming out to be a rattlesnake for me.
Rattler. R-A-D-L-E-R?
Nope, I spelled it wrong. R-A-D-L-E-R?
Yeah. I'm going to take a wild guess it's a type of beer.
It's a shandy.
Shandy. So it's got actual, lemonade in it.
Hold on.
That explains a lot. I'm not a fan of shandies.
So it's, all right, hold on. According to Wikipedia, shandy, so rattler in this case, I suppose, is a beer mixed with lemon or lime juice beverage. So.
Okay. So it's basically beer and lemonade.
Yep, pretty much.
Which our last beverage was an iced tea with lemonade in it.
And strawberries, too.
And strawberries.
Strawberry lemon iced tea.
So now we're having beer with lemon lime.
So this is perfect. It's getting a little hotter. It's summertime. Rattler is also a surname.
Ooh. That was unsatisfying. I'll trade beers with you. That one's open.
Oh, okay.
And, it's warm out. It's summertime. This is our last episode of the season. All good reasons to celebrate.
So where I go to school in Boston is downtown Crossing, Beacon Hill area. And right near there is where Sam Adams is buried. And oftentimes when I'm leaving class, you hear people that are on a tour of the area because they have never been to Boston before. And they're like, so you guys know this pub across the street here, the Beantown Pub, is the only place you can have a cold Sam Adams while looking at a cold Sam Adams. Sam Adams is buried across the street.
Oh.
So, just thought I'd mention as such.
Well, here's to Sam Adams. Radical, patriot, not a brewer.
Not a brewer, no.
He was, I think he was a hopster.
I love that name. It's like Peter Cottontail.
It's got a nice smell.
You can definitely taste the citrusy lemon kind of thing coming through.
It's refreshing and tangy.
What I'll call the beer taste is deeply subdued, whether it's like the hoppy taste or something in that lemon until the end of the taste.
Yeah, it was funny as you were saying that. I was experiencing the aftertaste, that sort of like rye barley taste. And
that wheat kind of.
I'm like, what is he talking about? But yeah, so when you first drink it, it's almost like purely lemonade.
It goes sweet into something a little less sweet, not bitter, but.
Reminds me, strangely enough, of the 7-Eleven prime rib potato chips.
Okay.
Which tasted disgusting. But after you ate it, the aftertaste in your mouth was the same aftertaste you have when you've just swallowed a piece of prime rib. So the aftertaste was awesome, but getting there really sucked.
Yeah.
So
I think this is almost the opposite for me, where like at first it's really good and like it doesn't suck afterwards. It's just
oh yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm enjoying this. I don't know that I would buy it again because I'm not really a shandy guy, but it is perfect for a hot day.
I think this is one of the better beverages we've had on the show.
Definitely, and I think we'll be leaning more towards the difficult sodas going forward. Okay, before we go any further, I want to take a minute to talk about the awesome folks at Anchor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way. In fact, it's the way that we make a podcast. Let me explain.
It's free.
There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more.
And you can make money from your podcast. Best part, no minimum listenership.
Ooh. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
It's so cool. We found the service. We started using it. We're making podcasts.
Yeah, making podcasts, making money, having a good time.
So listen, you want to get you out there. You want to be heard. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Thank you.
So the band I wanted to discuss today is Something Saturday. Something Saturday was an alternative punk rock group from Abington, right where we are. And this is their debut and I want to say penultimate, but that's your next to last. Their first and last full-length album, which was released in 2015.
Oh, I've never heard of them before. It's weird.
According to their bio on their website, they were created from the ashes of a band called No Structure. Or the Trash Bandits, and then morphed into My Guilty Pleasure, and then changed their names to Something Saturday. There's a long little story there. One of the treats about today is we actually have the lead singer from Something Saturday, Aaron Christian, joining us. So I'll let him answer any questions about the history of their nomenclature.
Cool. Yeah, that'll be awesome.
He's a pretty good guy. I've known him for a while, so it's...
yeah, I'm excited to meet him. You won't shut the fuck up about him.
So without further ado, let's get Aaron in the studio and we'll take a dive into Something Saturday. I'd like to welcome our very special guest today, Aaron Christian. Aaron, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thanks for having me, guys.
We're really excited to have you here. This is a treat. We've had a few times with local bands where we've actually had somebody come in. This is, I think, Aaron, this is the first time we've had the lead singer from a band.
We had Justin.
Justin Arena from Nervous.
But they kind of rotate around. So, no, Aaron, it's a pleasure to meet you. Shaking hands over here. Yeah.
Cool. So, Aaron, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Something Saturday?
So, Something Saturday started when a band I had when I was like 15, I believe, was starting to fall apart. It was four of us, my friend Tim, my friend Matt, and my friend Justin. We all had a band. And, we weren't doing a lot, but my friend Tim and I were really passionate about doing music and doing a specific kind of music that we weren't doing in that band. So we decided to get together one day and start doing our own thing. And we recorded this whole 9-song album, I guess, in like one day, just because we were bored. And we put it out because of whatever. And the rest of our band didn't want to play the rest of that music, so we just kind of did our own thing. And from there, we recruited a few more friends and grew it into something a little bit bigger. And after about like 2 years of just playing for fun, like we actually ended up playing shows. Through a connection, I met with somebody and we started playing out in a lot of local venues, and it was a great period of my life.
This is produced by Double Rainbow Studios.
Yeah, so you guys talked to Owen Korzik on your show?
Yes.
That's him.
See, Aaron actually listens to our show, so props to Aaron.
I'm so proud of him.
Okay, so and this was the last album. I believe you guys had a couple EPs as well, but this was the
Yeah, we had one EP, and we put that out in 2017. We did a backyard party to celebrate it. We recorded that in your other guest, Jake Morse's attic, or in his room. And then we decided we wanted to do something a little different, so yeah.
This is one of the nice things that here at Esoterica that my co-host Aaron brings to the table is local bands, where I tend to find more esoteric. I don't want to say established, but like outsider, outside of the mainstream. Aaron's a little more focused on the local scene, which even if a band is popular locally, they're esoteric to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that there's this interaction between the bands. There's a sense of community that's pretty cool. So having said all that, what we usually do on our show, Aaron, is we go track by track and then just kind of dissect our thoughts on the song. So having you here today, I guess we can actually get some real information on what was going on. So be prepared to do some splaining.
Oh, yes. That'd be awesome.
So we'll dive right into the first song, which is called Aftershocks. So let's roll that.
What more to say? My God, my name, live on, say something, but you never know. Where the hell does it go? Lay your head down low, put down your weapon at the door. You can't have no more. What else is this guy? Feel the waves crashing through.
Well, maybe it's just me, but the bass line in this song is saying Nirvana.
Well, I don't know that Nirvana was ever an influence, like, in a large part of the group. But I think where you might be getting that kind of vibe from is when we decided to write this song, based on Fahrenheit, when we wrote all those songs, they were really what you'd call, maybe not what you'd call, but more progressive. And we wanted to get away from that because we were trying to go for more high energy, kind of just fun songs. So we took a really sharp turn immediately into listening to a lot more classic things, like classic rock and a lot of early grunge stuff. So Nirvana might have slipped in there a little bit. Yeah.
It's definitely got a punk feel to it.
Yeah, I mean, that was, again, just a complete sharp turn. Like, if you listen to all of our first EP, it's us starting to write stuff that was more into what we've always wanted to do. That first thing that Tim and I wrote together was really an experiment into how we worked together, and it was basing off of what we've done before. So this was really the first time that the two of us, with our new group, actually got to do things that we wanted to do as a group, not have to try and concede to make others happy. Like, we just genuinely agreed.
Cool. Now, lead singer, you also lead lyricist?
No, surprisingly not. We on the album and on the EP. So this song was on the EP.
Okay.
That's why if you talk about it, it may make more sense. It was on the EP and we took it and put it on there. So we tried to distribute the wealth of it because I was also the guitar player. So I'm not just writing the song lyrically. I'm writing the song instrumentally.
Okay.
Like probably 40% of the riffs I wrote on here. And so we tried to split up the work. With this song in particular, the lyrics of the chorus are mine. But everything else is Tim.
Cool.
And I think on this album in total, I think I've only written the lyrics for 2 whole songs and the chorus for this one and another song.
Yeah, as I was, I've listened to this album before, but prior to you coming in, I sat down and gave it some focused concentration. And having known you, I'm trying to figure out. That's why I asked if you wrote this song, I guess, because that would be a different conversation on some of these songs.
Yeah, I mean, the idea behind this song is there was an earthquake that just happened, so that's why it's called Aftershocks. And I heard them say it on the news, so that'd be a cool title for the song. So we wrote the riff and we had everything going, and I said to Tim, I'm like, let's call the song Aftershocks. So Tim and I had the same study in high school. He just transferred to the high school junior year. He was in a different school. So I was working with him in our study hall, and he wrote all of the verse lyrics, and I had written the chorus to it. So basically the song, if you break it down, is about falling in love with a girl, as most songs are. And basically that it's just completely unrequited, so it kind of rips you apart, you know. And it just like you can't get that feeling away. Those are the aftershocks. It keeps coming up when you're like at work or something. You're like, oh, damn it, I'm upset about that again.
Oh, I like that's really good imagery. I
Yeah.
like that. Cool. I'm going to say cool a lot. I apologize.
Cool.
Cool. All right. Our next track is No Headphones in the Hall.
Wrote the song for me, wrote the song while I'm alone, wrote the song for those who live in a quiet playground of home.
So I get to tell a story that's unrelated to this.
Okay.
Because I know you. We've hung out.
Yeah.
You're much more aggro in this song than like the Aaron that I usually chat with.
Oh yeah.
And it reminds me of this time. What was I? I think as I graduated, and my girlfriend, she was a year younger than me, so she was a senior in high school, and we went to see a friend of hers band play, and they were at, I think it was called the Teddy Bear. It was a small club in Boston, wicked small, and we were the only ones there, and the stage was only maybe not even a foot above like the pit. So we were standing within 5 feet in front of this kid, Kevin, and he was really intense. Like, it was an incredibly intense performance, and it was so ungodly uncomfortable for him to like be so emotive when we were standing like mere feet apart and there was nobody else in the room. So like I didn't get that vibe here, but just the contrast of like sitting and talking to you now versus the aggro in the song made me think of Kevin and his band.
Yeah, and like I said, I didn't write most of the lyrics for this song, so the vibe, we fought a lot when we were making this album about how the song should be sung, because what is aggressive for them is not aggressive for me. What are feelings for them are not what's feelings for me. So this is one of those things. What the song is about is what, when we started writing the album and stuff, we're about halfway through, and I wrote the riff for this song. It was based off a song from Frank Iero. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a very similar riff. I think it's... it's got a really funny name. I can't remember what it is, but Dear Percocet, we won't be. I don't think we should see each other anymore. So that's the name of the riff. I kind of took it off of that. And Parkland, Florida, had the school shooting. So our high school got really into reacting to that. You know, a lot of students were reacting emotional about it. So they started locking the doors in different spots. So I was often late for class. We were upset about that. And a lot of times we'd wear headphones in the hall, and just to pass time from class to class. And they told us to stop wearing them. So a lot of kids were upset about that because it's just kind of music you get to forget about some things in between class, decompress a little bit, and we weren't allowed to do that anymore. So we titled the song "No Headphones in the Hall" as a reaction to how the high school was reacting to all of that. The whole song is based off of the school shooting and how reactionary people get for certain things like that, and pretty much where it came from. But the aggressiveness, I mean, like what everyone else was so upset about in the group, I wasn't as upset about. So it's kind of a mismatch. It doesn't make sense in how I would react to it. Yeah, but it is what it is.
Those feel the song.
Yeah.
Okay. Now some of the lyrics make a little more sense.
Yeah, this is why if anybody gets a chance to go on genius.com and annotate them, it would mean the world to me, because I don't have the time or drive to go ahead and do it.
So if you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to our Patreon, subscribe to our YouTube channel, buy one of our friggin' t-shirts, and go and annotate Genius. We're providing content for you. We want you to work too. So you've been told. Sorry. No headphones in the hall. Cool. So you guys were in high school too in this band. So
we were all seniors. All seniors.
All right, I'm going to slaughter the pronunciation on this next song. This is Nushanka.
New Shanka. You're very close. Very close.
You know, I said I'm going to go with Shanka, and I knew when I said it was going to be Shanka.
Yeah, oftentimes when we used to type it in the computer for our set lists, it would accidentally get misspelled as New Shanks.
New Shanks.
It's funny. But I'll tell the story after we listen to it.
All right, so this is New Shanka.
I'd like to go back and hear that again. Said I look good today. What about tomorrow? Or the next? Then what would you say? Dude, what the fuck?
I just said you look good, dude. I don't know what your problem is.
But only today?
Dude, Aaron sucks.
Aaron looks good today.
I got a haircut today.
Yes, you did. I'm still all got the COVID shagginess going on, but
You've been dealing with it fine.
it is what it is. All right, so yeah, lay some info on me about this track.
Yeah, so New Shanka, so that song is split into two parts. There's an acoustic part in the beginning and the end, and then the middle part is this heavy sort of thing. When we always had a little joke going, we always had little joke riffs of stuff. Like we had a song called what was it? Song 10 or something like that, or something like that. There was a name for it. For some reason it's escaping me, where it was anytime somebody new joined the band, we'd spin the mic in a circle and we'd have to say a sentence and then play a chord in between, play like a G chord.
Okay.
Or song 12, whatever it was. So we go around in a circle and everybody we'd have to do it. It was just a joke between us. And this was another one of those jokes. It was a riff called Ushanka because it sounded very Russian. Like you could do that sort of thing. You probably can't see me, but I'm lifting my feet up. What an Ushanka is one of those hats that you put on with the flaps that fold up on the side.
Oh, okay.
So that's called an Ushanka. So we were like, what? That riff sounds Russian. Let's just call it Ushanka. We had just finished recording the two singles that came off this album, They'll Never Leave You Alone and Damsel in Distress. We were sitting in Buffalo Wild Wings. That's the place we always went. We're sitting there. And we had the acoustic part we wrote for the album. We had nothing else for it. We had this other riff. And Mike, the rhythm guitar player, goes, guys, I got it. New Shanka. Put them together.
New Shanka.
So next band practice, we put the two of them together, and that was that. Now, lyrically speaking, this song is comprising what the entire album is supposed to be about. And we're all 17, 18, 19 years old. And how kids our age constantly, and especially us, get so upset about such trivial things. Like, you get to talk about the middle of the album. My pizza's late and I'm upset about it. I don't have 3G and I'm upset about it. And is it really worth getting upset about? Like that, you're talking about these stupid trivial problems that just get so blown out of proportion. So that's what this whole song is about. It's a basically throwing a temper tantrum about trivial things.
Okay. Yeah, my pizza's fucking late. So, would you consider Something Saturday to be within the emo realm, or is this? I'm still at 47. I'm still trying to understand the.
So I think that, in a sense, you could say that. I think we've always tried to be a punk group.
Yep.
Tried to be a lot more hardcore than whiny and emotional, I'd say. But I think a lot of what we talked about are genuine emotions that a lot of teenagers feel, because we're not used to having real life problems yet. And we start to get older and realize that there's a whole other world out there that we haven't experienced yet. Yep. And it's so difficult for us that we just complain constantly. And so I think that the emo part of it that comes out of Something Saturday is more of a trivial sort of emo.
Yep. And I think I'm probably going to bring this up again as we progress through the album. There almost seems to be this pervasive sense of raging at that emo-ness.
Yeah.
Like a genuine anger at feeling these emotions. And that's,
I think it's the lack of control of emotion that is the anger is directed at. We've talked about, we know people that like have ADHD or ADD, and it's, they can't control it, and they get so upset that they can't control it.
Yeah.
And it's, there are times when we've played shows, and then like some of us wouldn't talk to each other because we're just going through something in our head. And internally you're like ripped apart, and you're so upset that you're feeling that way, and you can't control it, and you just get so pissed off. That's what a lot of the screaming and the yelling is this. And a lot of people don't understand why screaming and yelling is in a lot of songs. And think of it like that. Like, that's your actual vocalization of those emotions, how they feel inside of you.
Yeah, it's a catharsis.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, our next track, $40,000.
That's it.
Question probability of me offing myself, if I may. Wait for a good day to run away after you graduate. Eternal death's not the only way. I'd rather suffocate.
So $40,000. We're talking about tuition, college tuition.
Exactly. So Tim, the drummer of the band, wrote a lot of the lyrics for the beginning part of this album. There's no specific section that a lot of us wrote, but a lot of the beginning part was him. And he chose not to go to college. He just didn't. It's not his thing. School's not his thing. He wants to be a musician, and I respected him for doing that. And so this song is basically, in high school, a lot of the time they're basically only care about you going to college. If you're not going to college, guidance wants nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And that's basically, Tim had one meeting with them. He's like, I'm not going to college. And then they never talked to him again. So he had pretty much no guidance going forward and felt kind of lost in that. But what he knew for sure is that he didn't want to spend $40,000 on school. And so that's basically what we're talking about, is that people are going to tell you that you're going to get nowhere, but that's bullshit.
Yeah. You're just not going to get somewhere on their narrow prescribed path.
The ironic part of that is that 3 out of the 4 of us are in college right now, paying $40,000 a year.
And
well, I'm the only one paying $40,000.
And where you will end up remains to be seen.
Yeah. So that tuition is based off of my tuition only, because I had the highest tuition out of the 4 of us.
And that's $40,000 a year?
Yeah. Mine is financial aid, though. It's nowhere near that much.
Yeah, but still.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Education should be free.
It's the stupidest necessary investment you have to make.
Yeah. Nice vocal work on this song.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I remember distinctly when we were recording that song for the vocals, when I was singing it, Tim kept saying, like, you're not doing it right. I'm like, what do you mean I'm not doing it right? I'm the singer. We always joked about me saying that because I sing the way I sing, and I might not be what they had in mind, but that's the way that I sing. So we fought a lot about that. But I remember getting to the way that he wanted me to sing it, which ended up being that was taking my fist like this, shoving it right into my diaphragm, and really pushing those words out. And on like the away and stuff like that, really opening up my mouth, completely changed the way I'd sing. And I ended up incorporating that into a lot more stuff going forward. But that was like one of the last songs we did, so you don't hear it a lot on this album.
Interesting. I think it was on their last album, L.A. Woman, The Doors, and I can't remember the track now off the top of my head, but Jim Morrison was getting a blowjob while he was singing, and that affected the way his vocals came out.
Yeah.
So a little different than a fist in your diaphragm, but point being, using some sort of external force applied to yourself to change your voice. I just want an excuse to tell that story. So the next track, They'll Never Leave You Alone. All right, tell me all about They'll Never Leave You Alone.
So this was the first song we wrote for the entire album. We came up with a bunch of demos, and we didn't come up with titles. We just had song 1, 2, 3, 4. We actually went up to song 12. We ended up trashing 2 of them. So this song was the first one we wrote, and it was based off of a jam we did a little while before that, where we that the vocal melody I ended up like playing somewhere, and we ended up scrapping it for the original. We took the vocal melody and turned it into something. So basically, yeah, it's just an old jam that we turned into something else. This song was completely written lyrically by Mike. We just had a show like a month before we had this song where Mike just kind of shut down for a little bit. We were really concerned. We were hoping he was okay. And this song, I think, is, I always thought, and I had never actually asked him, but a personification and vocalization of what those feelings were for that. But a lot of it is really the seasons changing and, a lot about seasonal depression where it gets darker out, you don't want to go outside, so you're trapped inside, you're not getting as much sunlight, and then it affects how you are. So that's basically what the song's about. Now, if you listen closely in the song, where my electric guitar comes in, I actually had a loose tube in there. So what happens is the tube rattles a lot. So if you listen to it, and you have to listen really close, but you hear this because it's the broken amp doing that. And it's funny. I'm the only one that's ever heard it. Nobody notices it.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's in the sample you played right before we got into this, I could hear it chucking along like that. But we did the whole thing. We put out one version, and then the chorus vocals were awful. So we actually had to cut them out and do a whole new chorus vocal. So if you listen to it on the album as it is, it's different than it was when we put it out as a single, the vocals. So
okay. I think it was Since I've Been Loving You, Led Zeppelin, Zeppelin 3. You can hear Bonzo's drum riser squeaking in the song.
We'll get to it later. There's a song later on that, I'll wait. There's something related to that I'll say. I will say on this, the bridge, there's a little break in the song where we break to acoustic. And we actually wrote that. We were in rock band class in high school where we ended up writing a lot of these songs. And we were sitting there, and Mike and I, Chris, Tim didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, so he's sleeping. He's like, yeah, we're going to write this thing, and then fell asleep while we were writing it in class. So he's just sleeping on like a couple of fold-out chairs. And Mike and I are sitting here. We wrote the whole bridge part. He woke up and we're like, hey, Mike, Tim, we wrote that part of the song. Don't worry about it. He's like, oh, okay, cool. And we fit it right in, and that's part of the song. So.
Rock band class. That's such a cool concept.
Oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever. I got out of gym class for that. It was great.
And did you get graded on stuff that you did? So what if you had, like, I'm just imagining a scenario where you submitted a song to the teacher, got a bad grade on it, but that song like ended up being a platinum single.
The way that the class worked was it was really us working together to learn how to be in a band together. So it was like the three of us were in the class, three of us minus our soon-to-be bass player, were in the class together, and we would play a lot of our songs and demo them for everyone in the class. But there were a lot of times like we had to switch up who we'd work with, so if we were in a band together, we wouldn't work with each other. And I think we learned a lot from working with other people. Like we actually played our songs for the entire school at the end of the year show that we did with people that weren't in the band, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, that is cool. Great idea. Yay, Abington High.
Yeah, I don't think they run the class anymore.
Of course not.
I think it was just that one year where we had bands, and there's no more bands in high school. So,
such is the way of things. All right, our next track is Reprimand. So let's listen to that.
I regret most of the things I've done in my life. Word lines due to the meaning of life. In why you've been, I friendships will see. To beg again, we stole these wanders away. You just told me to understand that we are not all the same. The words you put in our mouths feel like we are to blame. No matter how many times I told you I'm not like them. Find a reason to damn me. Reprimand the pressure of the words pressing up against my throat burns hotter like a fire on brimstone. Nothing I ever think will see.
All right, so this is one of your songs.
yeah, I wrote the lyrics to it. I did not write the riff. That was Mike who wrote the riff to it.
Okay. So let's peel back the onion. That's Aaron. What's going on here?
So this song I actually wrote the lyrics to in a Holocaust and Human Behavior class, and the meaning behind it's actually twofold. So the twofold meaning is I think you combine into one ideal, and that's that people don't like to be told what to do and have this, monotonous kind of just everyday same thing routine over and over again, and being told what your routine is. So I thought of it as in this Holocaust and Human Behavior class, a lot of people in the Holocaust going through the same behavior, just doing the slave labor all the time and being forced and told that what they are and who they are not good, is not good and is impure. Another part is I had a girlfriend at the time that used to compare me to a lot of her ex-boyfriends. So it's like, you're just like them. You're just like everybody else. You are just an awful person, and you're just the same thing. So when you listen to the chorus of that song, it's a lot of things. You just don't seem to understand that we're not all the same. We're all different people, and you just like to generalize us to make you not seem like the victim. So that was something at her, and that was also taking from that. So I wrote all those lyrics in that class, and I just decided to put it along. So in the verse melodies, the vocal melody, the bass line, the drums, and the guitar all have that same bump, bump, ba-da-da-bum, but it's all the same because it's a routine. Mm-hmm. Then when you break off into the chorus, it's not all the same for that reason.
Interesting.
So there's a lot of symbolism in this song that if you don't peel it back, you don't understand. And I think this melody, because I just wrote it, but it's an underappreciated part of the album because of the amount of thought that I put into it.
Yeah. This is why we like having the artists on the show when we can, for that reason. Nice. So you understand, looking back, that that's the very definition of a toxic relationship. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I broke up with her, I told her that these songs were about her. I got away with it for a while, but and this is a really awful way of looking at it. But I think part of the reason me being in the relationship is what made this album, for at least for the songs that I wrote, be what they are, because that was the most important awful thing going on in my life. That's all I wrote about. And everybody else had their own things going on. So I think we all brought certain things together to the table that really changed the way that any other band would write an album. You know what I mean? One person would focus on lyrics, but we all did it together. It's a collaborative effort.
That's nice. I like collaborative efforts.
Yeah.
All right, and this next song, "Damsel in Distress," also
me.
Also you.
This one completely me, except for the drums. I wrote pretty much everything on this.
All right, let's take a listen.
I need a Samson on these clear glass walls to crush them to the ground. Those fucking words you keep on telling me, gouge my eyes right out. Let me fucking know when you learn to be a friend. I'm still dealing with your stupid shit again. Lay there every morning in my snug warm bed. The sheets will crawl right over me and I feel instead.
Couple of nice biblical allusions in there.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna guess this is also about an ex.
Yeah, same one. This song was written first. This was the second single off of the album. I actually wrote some of the lyrics in the car ride to the recording session because I hadn't finished the song yet. But yeah, this song basically was taking the fact that ex at the time always needed to be a damsel in distress, always needed to be somebody that needed to be saved. So, like I said before, comparing me to other people, being an awful person, then that made me feel like I wasn't being the superhero that she expected me to be, and that's what was putting me down. So she just always needed to be the damsel in distress. So if you listen to a lot of it, like "Rolled All Over," "Sick of the Stress," "Never Seemed So Picturesque," things like that, it's like I'm just dealing with it and accepting it because, I need to be a better person because she's telling me that.
Yeah.
Like the biblical reference in the beginning, so I need a Samson on these clear glass walls. A lot of people feel like with depression, that they're within clear glass walls where they're stuck inside this cage and they can see out of it, but they can't interact with anybody outside of it. They're just stuck. And so Samson got his eyes gouged out and had these long locks of hair that got cut off that took away the strength that he had. And he ended up saving, from what I understand, saving people by knocking on the walls and throwing down the entire building.
Yep.
I'm probably butchering the story, but you get the gist. So I needed somebody like that in my life to get this glass wall completely broken down so that I'm just not taking what I'm seeing in front of me and stuck inside this box where I can't escape and finally escape from this situation. So
nice.
Again, a lot of symbolism that went into it that I think it was I felt went a little underappreciated, but we played this song a lot and that kind of made up for it.
That's right. I didn't. It's been a while since I read my Bible, and I didn't remember Samson gouging his eyes because, of course, my mind went to Oedipus.
Yeah,
which
so
is-
they gouged his eyes out. So after they
gouged
cut his hair, they gouged his eyes out.
just because fuck it. That's- All right.
Yeah, because he's already powerless. Let's make him even less powerless.
Yeah.
So.
All right, that makes sense because the Oedipus illusion didn't really. That puts a whole different.
Yeah, it's
spin
actually
on the
based
song.
on. So that particular version of it is based on the Bible from the History Channel. I watched it when I was like 13 or 14, and that was one thing that always stuck out with me. They gouged his eyes out, cut his hair, everything like that. So that was a story that stuck with me.
Nice. I think I was once married to a slightly older version of your ex-girlfriend.
I think we've talked about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's some similarities there. So the next track,
You don't have to say the whole title, but you can.
you've met me before. So this next song, Julie, put down that croissant and notice me, you self-centered cunt. Let's listen to that, and then we'll discuss that charming title.
Cause I can't help feeling that this ain't screaming. It's just bitching, except the people feel bad for me. So fuck this pity, my life's not shitty. How could it be in memories like these? Cause trust me, she only drinks 1% milk? Are you fucking kidding me? You're compromising both flavor and health. Whole milk equals flavor, obviously, and skim milk equals health. Like, just, you're taking the worst parts of both.
All right, so get some splaining to do, Charlie.
So, full disclosure, Julie's not a real person.
Okay.
Want to point that out. So, and I'll explain why there's a very awful expletive in there, because it has to be said. I actually, the day after the band broke up, I played a open mic night and said the whole title of the song. It was asked to leave. We ended up reconciling and I played the song, but I was asked to leave.
Wow.
So this song is about, it's a theme we've discussed a little bit earlier in this song, but it's this whole unrequited love kind of thing, but it's being led on. Mike wrote this song, and Mike's an awesome kid, really funny kid, and just deserves to have somebody really nice in his life, and would just get constantly led on by people. And it was awful. So he wrote this song after being led on a million times, and he kind of thought of it when we were titling it as, why don't we name it after what kind of goes through your head about that person when you find out they've been leading you on this whole time? Like, oh, let's just be friends. Like, you're talking about you want something better, you want another guy, always talking to me about it. So now you're going to tell me that you just want to be friends? Like, that's not cool. You're up. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you get so angry. So the word might not have been the best choice of word. We probably could have chosen something else to do. But I think that when you put it into context of how you feel, Julie's not a real person. Julie's whoever you want it to be in that scenario, input new name. The song still stands that, if you lead somebody on and then all that happens, like, of course they're going to be upset. Yeah. And, like, that's the type of language you're going to use, unfortunately, because of how upset you are.
Yeah, it's just being honest about feelings.
It's just being honest about it, yeah. So, yeah, this song was called Song 4. It was written in drop D, which is, I think, the only one on the whole album, which is when you drop the lowest E string down to D. But we had a lot of fun doing this one. It's just like a really nice, dancey kind of song.
And Mike takes some issue with 1% milk, eh?
So, this is, again, riffing on the theme of the whole, what's it called? Trivial problems. Yeah. And it's just like you're already upset at this girl about something else, so you're just going to find one more thing. And that thing is that you drink 1% milk? Like, what is your deal? And the reason why we did is because, again, somebody else wrote the song, and I had to try and be passionate about it. So I needed to find something I'm passionate about, and I genuinely love milk so much. I have an addiction. I have a problem.
I have seen you quaff milk.
Yeah, I have very strong opinions on what fat percentage in milk should be. Very weird thing. So I decided to get upset about that. But I think the point still stands that, like, she drinks 1% milk. Like, what a bitch. You know what I mean? You're already upset. Let's get more upset now. Let's find something else. Trivial problems.
Well, and what's funny is that when I'm listening to the song and it hits that, I can totally picture this being a conversation at, like, over a cup of coffee. Yeah. And you're getting friend zoned. Yeah. Like, trying to be a gentleman.
You put 1% milk in there?
Yeah.
Like, what is your problem?
It's the proverbial straw that breaks the camel's
Yeah.
back.
Whole milk equals flavor, and skim milk equals health. Like, just you're taking the worst parts of both.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it says.
Nice. All right, so along the line of getting upset over trivial problems, I'm just kind of putting that on. The next song title is Gosh Jolly. Really? That's how that comes out. What did I just say? I can't.
Gosh jolly.
Gosh Jolly. Wow.
Gosh golly, I'm peeved.
Gosh golly, I'm peeved. Wow.
So don't sit around and blame the government, politics, religion, or society. Cultural differences, my parents don't understand me. Racism, sexism, white guilt, opposing views don't change the fact success I lack is 'cause I'm fat and I'm ugly, I'm tired and bored, longing for real relationships while trying to mature. Too skinny, too weak for your affection, my dear. Not being good enough for others is my greatest fear. So don't look past these cold winter mornings.
Gosh golly, that's the longest song on the album.
It is. It's like 5.5 minutes, maybe just 5. I'm not sure.
Credit to the way the music's written. Like it didn't feel like that long listening to it.
It's broken up really nice. Mike, this is all Mike's baby. I give him a lot of credit. This and the last one, Julie, they're both Mike's babies. The title for this song, we were so Mike wrote it. It's basically like we talked about before. They're like temper tantrums, but this is like a sophisticated temper tantrum, if you want to take it that way. But Mike's actually going through and explaining a lot of feelings that come with growing up and leaving high school and going into this whole different phase of our lives that we've never been into before. We don't have that safety net of life that we've had before. So when we were working one time, we worked at the grocery store, and Mike turns to me and goes, I just want to name the song something like, Damn, I'm Mad. And I'm like, what about Gosh Golly, I'm Peeved? And he goes, I love it. So that's why we went with the title. So when you talked before, Bonzo's Drum Throne,
Yeah.
this song goes from like 6/8 to 4/4 or something like that, or it changes, and before the heavy part comes in towards the end of the song. And the way that we counted in was the drum throne that Tim was using. You can hear the squeak, 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 and then we went right into the song. So you could actually hear the squeak. And that we tried doing it that way, and then we couldn't use it to time into the songs. We ended up having to use an actual metronome. But you hear a lot in the song where the guitars are. Like, the timing's not perfect in the whole thing. It took a lot for us to get there. But the imperfections, I think, are what adds to the beauty of the song. But, again, this is all, trying to formulate your own opinions, trying to get into life, understand who you are in the world where you haven't been able to be before.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty straightforward concept, but it just, we take a decent amount of time to get there and explain it.
Well, I think it's interesting, too. Like, looking at the title, it's almost sort of ironic. Whereas earlier you had songs where you're kind of bitching about stupid stuff. And here is getting into some real meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
But then the song title sort of discredit, it's like distancing itself from the seriousness of the song.
I think a lot of it has to do, I think this is unintentional, but trying to normalize serious problems and, make a bigger deal out of not so serious problems.
Yeah.
So that they come to just a one world of problems. So like this exact problem, or this whole song, you could call a song a problem, right? This whole problem is a lot more intense, but we're just going to subdue it with its title. But you go back and you talk about, your pizza's late, but the song's called New Shanka, and there's all these layers behind the title. I mean, you're trying to give that more credit than it's worth, but discredit the thing that actually means a lot.
Yeah.
So it just seems like it's all this standard stuff, but you break it down, it's a lot more than that.
And it's funny, so there's a line that sticks out to me, and I'm probably going to slaughter this explanation when I get into it, but I think this is something profound, especially that people of my generation need to understand. So there's this repetitive line during the beginning, I want to be young again, young again, young again. And there's 17-year-old kids singing this song. So for a Gen Xer listening to this, it's easy to sort of dismiss that, like, what do you mean you want to be young again? You're 17. I don't remember where I read it, but somebody was pointing out, 17 years ago for me, I was 30. So I was already a fully formed adult and just living a younger version of myself. For a 17-year-old, 10 years before that, they were a fucking child. Like, there has been such a significant and incredible change in your life and how you interact with the world in that space of 17 years. You know, like, once you hit 20 and you're an adult, the rest of your life is just getting older and getting more experiences. But when you go from shitting your pants to, you know, like having to go out and get your own meal and stuff, that's a huge change. So I get that, like, you want to be young again where you don't have to accept all these responsibilities and these weights that are put on you as you become a fully formed human being.
Yeah, and let's track back in the album a little bit. $40,000 is what I'm paying for school. My parents aren't paying that. You know, what was the biggest expense I had when I was in high school? Buying lunch for $2.50.
Yeah,
Like-
maybe saving up for a car,
Yeah, exactly.
but again, saving up and then it's paid for, and
Yeah, and that's it. You know, this is an expense I'm going to have to pay off for a couple of years, you know, at least maybe 10, 15.
there are people I know in their 40s still paying their student
Exactly.
debts.
So, you know, I want to be young again is not having to worry about those things. You know, and like you said, the complete makeup of our problems are different than they were when we were
such
7
a
years old.
short span of time.
Yeah.
So people my age, don't discount kids when they say that, because they are closer to having been a child than we are.
Yeah,
If
and,
that makes
and
sense.
you know, if we're making a PSA here, don't dismiss the way that people complain about things, because these trivial problems, like we've just talked about, could be the most important things that we're just dumbing down.
Yeah.
Say, you know, my pizza's late, but if you listen to that song a little bit more, kids were picking on the fictionalized version of Aaron in that song, picking on him because of the way that he looked. But now I'm just upset because my pizza's late. I'm acting out at something else because I'm angry, but I won't react there.
Yeah, it's called sublimation.
Exactly.
So you're an artist. You make music. You write lyrics.
Yeah.
When I was your age, I was a writer. I did a lot of creative writing, to put a term on it. Like, I wasn't a novelist. I was writing prose, and I kept a lot of journals. And here's the thing: like, I'm never going to be published. I never had any thought that was going to happen. But at 47, and I still have my journals, being my point. If I go back and look at it, I can totally get into the headspace that I was in when I was 17 or 18. It's a record of that time. So even though I'm a long way away from sitting at the lunch table, sublimating my anger into something else, I can totally relate, because I remember what that was like, which I think a lot of people don't, unfortunately. All right, so we beat the shit out of that song.
It's a long song. It deserves a long explanation.
There we go. And I'm not trying to rush you, but I also want to hit a little bit about, you know, you guys playing in the local scene. So the last track on the album, My Guilty Pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take it this is a leftover from My Guilty Pleasure.
It was like, this album was released as My Guilty Pleasure, so it was self-titled at the time, and then it became not self-titled anymore.
Okay. And I believe it actually starts off saying it's your last song, and it's the last song on the album.
It is.
All right, so let's play it out.
Real connections rarely happen on Snapchat. Being young is wasted on the youth of today. When all their rampant hormones being told what to and not to say. By a society, and then it strikes with philosophy. Force us by giving us a shot. Some semblance of being happy. These last 4 years have been filled with many lonely nights surrounded by my best friends.
So to reiterate, this song is not about cheese.
Nope, it's not. It is not.
What is this song about, Aaron? It's not about, you're not a mouse band, or
Not a mouse-based band.
not a
No.
mouse band.
This song is just basically a recap of the entire album, and it sounds like I'm dumbing it down to but it basically is. It's taking a lot of different parts of this album that we discovered, different topics and stuff, and just putting it into one song and saying, look, if you don't listen to anything else, listen to this and understand that, you know, why am I saying this about all these problems? This is stupid. Like, this is dumb. But don't discredit me for the things that I say are important, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote the chorus of this song in my, anatomy and physiology class on March 29th, 2018. The only reason I know that because there's a note on my phone that I have the date written on it, so I know exactly when I wrote this, the chorus for it. But
Interesting. And I think that's an important thing to say. That's
yeah, we try. I don't know if we try to think of it this way, but I've always thought of it as this song being like the conclusion paragraph of an essay. And this whole essay is about how I feel or how we feel, and this is just wrapping it up so that tying up all the loose ends.
what if I don't know? I'm assuming that's been done before. That's probably what a lot of concept albums are. But what a fantastic idea to do an album as an essay.
So when we started talking about it, Tim didn't like the idea, and Mike and I toyed with it in front of him, and we kind of got in a fight about it. So it's not a concept album, but I've thought about this as a concept album because I think you could think of it that way if you wanted to, and that's that it's an entire school year in one album. This came out the day before we graduated high school, and we started writing it like 2 weeks after we started our senior year. So this whole thing is basically an entire school year. So you think about the beginning of it, like your summer fling is completely gone. You get into school and all these things are starting to happen and these rules are starting to change and people are bullying you and things. Season starts to change and then you're in another relationship with an abusive girl that you meet at school, so it doesn't go really well and you break up with her, and then you start getting pushed off by other people towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And now you're just trying to realize that you're going off to college, and here we are. So it's kind of going through a whole year if you think about it that way. Also, a fun little trivia bit of this song is that the verse parts of the beginning parts of the "So What Now, Here Stands the Shell on My Youth," that's a Panic at the Disco song, the chorus, like our pre-chorus that we actually stole completely and changed the key of. There's the only difference between martyrdom and suicide is press coverage. So,
I had a thought. Oh, so not to get too meta, but it's my show, and Aaron's show. Aaron's been pretty quiet.
I've been trying to stay quiet. I'm really fascinated by this guy.
And it's one of those situations too. Like my co-host Aaron and I, we have a long history, and Aaron,
We
you
do,
and I
we do.
also have a long history. So it's like worlds colliding. The idea of this album as a concept album is not dissimilar from Ecstasy's Skylarking that Charlie Baker was talking about when he was on. That was a concept album about seasons, and that it's not really evident unless you're told it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like The Wall is clearly a concept album.
Yeah, we didn't want this to be a concept album, but I think if I tell you it's a concept album, you can go, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah,
And
there's a concept behind it.
Yeah,
So-
I think it's an unintentional concept. I think it's a consequence of how we wrote it because we wrote it throughout the school year, so our feelings changed, the seasons changed, everything changed, things are impacting us, and I think that's what this ultimately became.
Yeah, can we say it's not a concept album, but it's a conceptual album?
Sure.
Let's just couch it that way. Okay, so that's the album.
That is the album.
This album is available right on.
Yeah.
It's on Spotify.
Spotify, Bandcamp, the Together Records Bandcamp also, Apple Music, all that jazz. We have a website, but it's not really worth it. We have an Instagram, but nobody runs it, so don't follow those. Just listen to the music; it supports us still.
And you can download it. You can purchase it.
Yep.
And I assume somebody still gets those funds.
Yeah, right now it goes to Together Records, and I've been donating those funds to them to either keep our music running or for them to continue supporting other acts. So I haven't been collecting those at all. It's not my profit.
Nice, but it's still out there.
So support other people by listening to us.
So while the band was up and running and doing their thing, you were part of the local music scene, right?
Yep.
So I know we've talked to, in the short time that this podcast has been around, now we've talked to Nervous, Fat Boys and Little Men,
Yep. Patrick's awesome guy.
Bicycle Inn.
Yep.
All you guys sort of working in the same area on the local music scene.
Yep.
So how was it to be to part of that?
So what's really funny is you go from playing at some like 16-year-old girl's birthday party because your parents are friends to like playing a show with people that genuinely think that your music is good it's an amazing feeling. I think the moment I really knew and appreciated what we were doing was when we played a show in the basement of the E.T. Wright building in Rockland in December of 2018. We had just taken a brief hiatus and we came back. And people, they were mainly my friends, but some people I didn't know, were screaming my own lyrics back to me. And that what really hit me is like, people have listened to our songs, learned the lyrics, and want to sing back what we have put into music as, you know, something that was heartfelt and put a lot of feeling behind that we just talked about. And that meant a lot to me.
That's cool.
And it's, you know, you're part of something bigger than yourself. It's not just a band. It's a collective of people that all care about you and your music and you doing your thing. The local music scene in southeastern Massachusetts is like one of the best things I think I've ever seen. And I don't know if it's like that in a lot of other places, but it's really great. A lot of nice people. We got our t-shirts from, well, you guys get your t-shirts, and Something Saturday got our t-shirts from people within the music scene that make them. So, you know, there's just a lot of cool people that do a lot for the community.
You must miss being out and part of that.
Oh my God, I do. My favorite, so our first show, we got 30 people. We were in a storefront in Taunton, and called the Shop Underground. And I think you guys talked to Declan from Bicycle Inn about that.
Yeah.
But it was the Shop Underground is this really short thing that Nick Lowney ran, who you guys get your shirts from. And
buy our shirts.
yes, a subtle plug. So yeah, he ran this thing. We had like 30 people go. It was awesome. Next show was like, I think just shy of a month later. It was in the Middle East upstairs, and 4 people went.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 people. It was insane. And we ended up building up. Like, we had shows where we had like at least 20 or 30 people going. It was good. We headlined like the Middle East one time. That was a pretty packed thing, but that was like 6 months after we played again in front of 4 people. Like, it took some time, but we had a lot of fun doing it. And what I think ultimately was the end of the band was it not being fun anymore, because it started to be us doing it so much, trying to make it some of us trying to make it a career move, that it wasn't going to last.
Yeah.
And getting involved in other groups where they wanted it to be that I think that's what destroyed it. I wish, and I love these guys. I wish we still talk to each other. I wish we still could get together and jam every once in a while, but I think those days are behind us.
Well, if anybody's listening out there, Esoterica the podcast is all about shining a light on the obscure and offbeat and unusual, if you will. That's our tag. Let's make that happen. Yes, if you get hearing this, let's have a Something Saturday reunion. Like, that'd be kind of cool. I enjoyed listening to the stuff. Like I said, I wish I had gotten a chance to see you guys live, but
well, if you guys want, there's a YouTube video out there of us playing at the Raven in Worcester. So yeah, that's
cool.
It's the whole set that the Damsel in Distress took a video of. So
I know recently. So what are you doing now? Do you have any solo stuff going on?
Yeah, so I have 2 songs that are out right now. One called Seasick, which I wrote about a girl that I liked, and then I found out she had a boyfriend. She was leading me on this whole time, so I was like, and she liked boats, so Seasick. And then I just recently, about like 3 weeks ago, I put out this song called We Don't Work Well Together, which is basically a reaction to the demise of Something Saturday. It's kind of long. It seems like it's long overdue because we haven't been a band for well over a year, but there are a lot of things that I've been writing since then that I put together into this one song because I hadn't had an opportunity to talk about it, and I needed to talk about it. So that's what that song is. So those songs are out, and then also I have my project Yuck Fu, which is also kind of on the riffing on Something Saturday thing. Again, a lot of feelings I haven't been able to get out because I haven't been doing as much music as I did then. So that's where it came out. And but yeah, Yuck Fu's got a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's esoteric in its own right.
And you with Yuck Fu, you're with Jake Morse, who we have also talked to on this show.
Yeah, Jake's a cool guy.
We've talked to a good number of local acts.
We have.
Pretty
have.
proud of ourselves.
Or you have.
We have. Aaron and I
You
have.
have. We have.
And you were going to do some live shows just before COVID took the world down?
Well, I had one planned, and I got there, and it didn't get canceled because of COVID. It just, the guy canceled the show, and I was already in Providence to play.
Yeah.
With Yuck Fu. So, hopefully, I was thinking about doing maybe some, live stream out of my bedroom kind of shows. So maybe we'll see some of that. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be cool. Hey, just throwing it out there. We do a Sunday night live stream. If you ever got anything going on, you want to come on and play, we'd be happy to have you.
Oh man, I'd love to be on a live stream at some point.
That would be cool. I think my co-host Aaron would shoot himself trying to work that all out, but
It'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
all right, yeah, the lazy son of a bitch needs something to work on.
He does.
So,
He's a piece of shit.
hey, listen, we spend a lot of time sitting around and talking, and I could continue to do that, but I got an audience to think of, so we should probably wrap this up.
Sounds good.
So for those of you out there listening, definitely check out Something Saturday. Go to the Bandcamp site, support the band, even though they're not around anymore.
Please check out my new stuff, Aaron Christian Music on Instagram.
Yeah, check Aaron out. I asked him about his singles, but I've heard them. They're good stuff. I enjoy listening to them. Thanks, Aaron, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe when this pandemic's over, we can hang out some more.
Oh, that'd be great.
Cool.
Respect the ruse.
That was kind of fun.
We had a blast. For those of you that didn't realize it, it was me.
That was Aaron.
It was me. With same person.
Yeah, when we discussed doing this album, I thought it would be a fun approach to just treat Aaron as a guest.
We
I don't
treat
know
our
if
guests really shitty.
Yeah. I don't know if it was fun for anyone else, but it was fun for us.
It was a good time.
That's what
It was a good
matters.
time.
So that was a fun episode, but I am sad to say that is the last episode for season 1 of Esoterica the podcast.
But don't you fret, because season 2 is coming back on August 5th.
And long ago, we started promising additional content. Our Famous Folk series is continuing. In fact, this Friday, we have Zach Avery. Mm-hmm. And we have at least 1, 2, 3.
Well, we definitely have one every week for the month of July.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit into August. We'll see.
Yeah, we're still hearing from peeps. So those will continue on Fridays, so look out for that. And as Aaron mentioned, our season 2 is just right around the corner anyway.
Yeah, so we'll be taking a month break from your regular weekly esoteric episodes.
But while we're taking a break, make sure to continue checking out esotericathepodcast.com. We'll be probably more active on our YouTube channel, as we just got a video camera, which we're looking at just sitting there doing nothing right now. But so keep an eye out at our social media. You'll see we won't be totally dark, but we've already started working on some of our new episodes. So.
Season 2 is in development. So.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I just wanted to say, and I know Chris and I feel similarly, if not the same way about this, but thank you for being on this journey with us as we figure out our podcast and this adventure. So hopefully we're going to take what we learned this season, apply it to season 2, and it'll be fun.
Make it more exciting. And don't forget, you can support us here at Esoterica the Podcast by purchasing one of our t-shirts. Mm-hmm. We also have a Patreon account that we've started. So if you'd like to be a regular supporter, then you can also get involved in some of our content, which we would be very appreciative of. And listening to ourselves, I'm thinking we need to start selling flashlights, since we here at Esoterica the Podcast like to shine a light on the obscure, unusual, and offbeat. So maybe we'll be selling flashlights next year. So on that note, we will see you again on a regular episode of Esoterica the Podcast in August, but we will also see you this Friday. Until then, stay esoteric.